Today's video lesson is on expected value. Please go ahead and pause the video at this time to answer questions 1 through 4 in your warm-up. To answer the question number 3, we need to know the dimensions of the original board. The original board had dimensions of 20 inches by 20 inches. We also know that the dimensions for the 4 corners of the board are 3 by 3. If we're trying to find the dimensions of the inside square, it would be 20 minus 3, which is 14 inches by 14 inches. Therefore, the area of the blank middle space would be equal to 196 inches squared. Now we want to compare this to the area of the perimeter. If you're given that the dimensions are 3 by 3 for the corner squares, then we know that the area of all 4 of those squares would be equal to 9. 9 times 4 is equal to 36 for just those 4 squares. Then to find the area of the 4 rectangles, we know that the dimensions would be 14 by 3. So the area of each rectangle would be 42. And 42 times 4 would equal 168. Therefore, the total area of the perimeter would equal 204 square inches. If we were to drop a piece of the Monopoly game on the board, you are actually more likely to land in the perimeter as opposed to the middle space because the area of the perimeter is larger than the area of the blank middle space. The last question in our warm-up, if you are taking a 20-question multiple choice test and guess on every question, how many can you expect to get correct? Justify your answer and your thinking. Assume that there are 4 choices for each question. Then the probability of getting a question correct would be 1 out of 4. If there are 20 questions on this test, then 1/4 times the 20 questions that we have means we should expect to get 5 questions correct. This is called expected value. And expected value is exactly what intuitively you think it means. The basic formula to calculate expected value is always the probability of an event multiplied by the amount of times the event happens. For question 1, you're asked to measure each shape on the following page and record the dimensions. You're asked to do it in centimeters as opposed to inches. On this handout, you'll see that I have already found approximate centimeters for you, rounded to the nearest 10th place. In question 2, you're asked to predict if you dropped 50 pennies on the page, how many would land in each shape. That is called the expected value. The first example in the data table has been done for you. The shape is the larger half circle. Going back to the original diagram, the larger half circle would be this portion. You're trying to determine if you were to drop 50 pennies on this page, how many would you expect to land in this shaded region? In order to answer this question, you would need to know the area of that semicircle, as well as the area of the 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Once we use the dimension to find the area of the larger semicircle, to find the probability it lands in that semicircle, we would take the area of the semicircle, 56.55, divided by the area of the whole page. The dimensions of the page in centimeters are given to you, and when you multiply the length by the width, you end up finding about 603.2246, which is approximately 0.094. Then the expected value, we take the probability of landing in the larger half circle, then multiply it by the number of times our event is happening. So multiply it by the 50 pennies that we are dropping on our page. And I would like you to round it to the nearest whole penny. So we end up expecting about 5 pennies to land on that page. So that you don't have to drop pennies, because I don't think at this time all of us have 50 pennies to drop on our sheet of paper, you are going to use the example I have made for you. I dropped 50 coins, and then I went ahead and counted all of them up. Here you will find the actual number that was dropped. Once you have completed all the values for your data table, then you are going to go ahead and answer all of the analysis questions for today. Please pause the video at this time and complete the data table as well as this data analysis. Please check your answers and be prepared to answer questions 4 and 5 in conference. Please check your answers for the remaining data analysis questions and be prepared to answer questions 10 and 11 in conference.